Hey everybody, welcome back to our Trading Think Script class. It's good to have you all on board with us, folks. Hopefully you're getting some insight from these discussions. That is the whole idea. That's the concept that we try to develop in these classes, and that is to make ThinkScript workable for you, make it kind of tailor it to what you're looking for, and helpful in what you're looking at in the markets and trying to find separate things. So I think we might have one of those today. Really looking to try to today to spot that trend change a little bit early. Now, one of the cool insights with the trend change are moving averages, but oftentimes too, as we've talked about confluence of candlesticks, which is another interesting script in and of itself, potential script we could look at as I was thinking about that, getting going. But a confluence of moving averages. Let's kind of we'll move into this a little bit, this concept, as we begin to kind of envelop a number of different indicators that might be presenting itself at one time. Short-term, long-term indications, but those moving averages can be really helpful. I wanted to kind of present that in a creative way for you today, so we can utilize it within maybe trading to help us spot different changes amongst different moving averages. So that was a lot to say. We'll we'll spend the rest of our time actually going into it, but would like to say welcome to all of you. Hello to you, Jenny, Rocky Raccoon, as well as Scott. Aloha to you, sir. Hello to you, Riceberg. Great to have you here, as well as Life in the Fast Lane always. And we do have Will. Great to have Will on board with us too. Join, folks. I'm joining the chat by a good friend and colleague of mine, Kevin Horner. Say hello to Kevin. Great to have him on board, folks. You can follow Kevin on X as well, formerly Twitter. That would be Kevin Horner CS. He has typed that in to the chat box. I am Mike Fairborn. CS, love to have you follow us both if you are able to. I know many of you are already. By the way, if you're following me we each of us have a few followers, and I don't know about it, let me know in the chat, or you know, get a hold of me some other way. Perhaps a note through YouTube. Be happy to follow you back as well. So with that though, folks, let's do some disclosures because we've got some cool stuff to take a look at today. All right. So first off, with our disclosures, information here is for general information purposes only, should not be considered an individualized recommendation or personalized investment advice. Now, the Big Motor software application is for education purposes only as well. Backtesting results presented, which we do look at big picture, oftentimes those are hypothetical. There's no guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results going forward. Investing involves risk, including for some products more than your initial investment. Past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results or success. And a quick note on futures, always interesting to look at futures, the charts. We don't go into futures themselves. So we have other classes that do that, but I did want to provide that here for you. So you can take a look and just kind of highlight here what we have available, as we look at charts. Now, a quick thing too, I wanted to highlight, and that is right over here. For those of you that are getting familiar with ThinkScripting, it is basically just computer language coding that can be utilized, which we do talk about here. And there are some cool ways to build it. In fact, I'm going to start off with an easy, simplified approach because I do get a number of comments coming in. Hey, I'm just used to this. I have no idea what's going on. Can we just back it off a little bit? So I do like from time to time just to hit a condition wizard to help us build that code. Very easy, very straightforward. Actually helps you learn the code itself too. It's a good starting point. It was my starting point to learning it. And then from there, we're going to build into our concept, which it can actually develop, although parts of it, not all of it, can be done through the condition wizard today, but a great tool. We're going to hit that. Folks, we do like to identify the goal. Is it doable for us? Is it something we're looking to do today? It was trying to pick up on the trend. When is the trend starting? There are a lot of cool indications, and I've seen them from a lot of our coaches as I do help out with chat. They do look at a number of different moving averages and cross points above moving averages. The question is can ThinkScript help us try to identify those moving averages within a certain percentage range? So a moving average within a given percent. So I'm just drawing it on this black space over here. It happens to be a computer screen. But let's just say we've got whatever it is, a 200-day, 50-day moving average. I'm just going to put a 20. This looks more like a 20 here. Can we spot this using ThinkScript to identify it and to shoot it out to us and say, hey, listen, This particular stock is within a given percent. Let's just say that is 1% of this range. If so, notify me because some interesting things happen, as you're well aware of, around longer term moving averages. And are we seeing multiple moving averages that might tie in? Is there maybe a 50 that's also getting broken around the same time, the 20, and maybe 100/200, getting into those longer term time frames? That's what I was really looking at today. Uh, uh, Talking about confluences, and confluences are interesting, just meaning simply a fancy word for more than one indicator showing up at the same time. I should say they could be the same indicator, just different time frames for that indicator: 20, 30, 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, for example. All right. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and just move this on over here. By the way, I hope you've been having a little bit of fun. I've been having some fun. I hope you have too with the AGAIG confluence picking up on shorter term time frames where you're getting really, we're just talking about confluence, really a confluence of volume type indications in terms of breakouts and things like this. I do have this set up, I believe think I have it on the NASDAQ 100. Could have been the S&P. But yeah, looking at some of these companies over here, let's highlight some of them. Interesting volume on an intraday basis. And what does that mean for the daily charts? The daily charts. This is one I've been looking at for a while. It's been down for so long, but we did get that interesting volume. And by the way, what did we say? I talked about this in my swing trade class on Tuesdays, converting that 5 minute into a swing time frame. Because over here, when we pull this up, just a bit of a review here, real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and just add this in. This was done by the Copilot, but there you go. It's not too often, although when you do get them, you do get a confluence. There's that word again of in this case, significant volume indications. We talked about this last week, but you're getting it again right here. But when you get that kind of volume happening even down here at this level, you know what happened? What was fascinating here, going back to the daily and looking kind of at a swing trade time frame, you know what that was? That was actually enough to get us above that level on a yes, daily chart. You had to have some substantial volume, possibly institutional buying, like we talked about last week, to inch, get us over there. Now, does that mean it's going to go forward every time? No. But it can be a good indication because it can take excessive volume. I'm talking buyers in here to offset selling pressure that's kept us down since first of the year, the first part of the year over here, getting through. I have no idea what's going on with this company, but something might be going on, and it can draw our attention into it to take a look at it. By the way, does anybody here see any other percentage or pattern changes here? Just to kind of reflect on what we discussed last week. So we don't want to lose the stuff we talked about. But do you see any other patterns here that might make sense on a particular time frame for projection going forward? Maybe a swing trade out of this? I've got to pull up my, there we go. Anything? Anything. Part of the discussion was, what does that 5 minute mean relative to a daily chart? Is there anything else there that shows us something on a higher time frame? That's what we're talking about, the higher time frame. Now, of course, you need to confirm anything that you're looking at. And I think fundamentals could play a key role. We've done some fundamental think scripts. Those are always interesting. They don't get a lot of views. People like the technicals, they like price changes. But if you can see volume that is greater than, let's say, the past 20 days on a shorter term bar, we looked at that AGAIG on a 30-minute chart as well. But if you can get that represented within a pattern, it can be interesting because you look at those volume spikes and that can be some buyers coming in. Yep, that's what we talk about, James. We talk about confirmations across different time frames. Okay. So what does this represent? Well, we know there's some big volume, relatively speaking. The VWAP intraday. We know we're talking about the moving the money flow index. and some others in there too, but something to be mindful of. It's taken a while for this to break above, and that's one thing I can say over an extended period of time here. We've been down, 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 down. Interesting to get that right there at this point, and potentially, this is what I was talking about right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, or shoulder, or shoulder, or shoulder, but you can see it, shoulder, head, shoulder. These can represent longer term bottoms, and that's exactly the type of confirmation that I'm referring to here. It helps us spot them, and that can be somewhat useful. Let's hit some more. PAYX. Ooh, there you go. This one too has been down for quite some time. A little bit of a cup and handle right here. And this is where I would actually say the cup and handle, right about over there. Do you see it? Earnings coming in. Now, what's happening with this company? I don't know exactly. I can say that it responded pretty nicely post earnings announcement, and we'll see what we get going forward here. But that's actually a pretty strong move right there. Definitely flagged for its volume. Okay. All right. Let's see. We've got PayPal too. Not too much with PayPal and Take-Two. Oh, did you guys hear about Take-Two? Finally, GTA 6. I guess they're taking pre-orders for it to be delivered in November. Little side note, I had no idea that was going to pop up, but I hear that from my son, who's like, "Hey, Dad, they might actually get that GTA 6 out, whatever." I don't know. Interesting, but some interesting things to kind of keep an eye on. Now, if you want a little bit more discussion on that, more insight, there are some things you can do to get into it. I did talk about it last week. I'll highlight it here for you. If you want to check that out, of course, be sure to follow us too. I'll just talk about this real quick. The Trader Talks channel, if you're not already subscribed, I think many of you actually are already subscribed. But we got 204,000 subscribers. Love to have you on board if you're not already. But come over here into playlists. Down at the very bottom, yeah, we were talking about indications of potential big money signs showing up throughout the day that you can keep an eye on. And let's do this. So I'm going to copy this right now. I'm going to throw this into our box here, and let's highlight it. So this is our playlist. The ThinkScript playlist right there. So there's more indications there as you get it. Okay. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go over here now and let's talk about, by the way, if you're getting value out of today's discussion, smash that like button. Definitely lets us know that you're finding value in our presentation today. Now, talking more about the trends, maybe some shorter term ways to kind of help us understand moving averages a little bit better too, as we go through this. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off for now. And I'm going to start off with this approach here. I'm going to go in. By the way, we were looking at the NASDAQ 100. Let's go down here under our studies, and I'm going to click on my little pen, and I'm going to show you here under an add condition. Now, anytime, just generally speaking, you wanted to find a company breaking above a particular moving average, really simple, really straightforward, but there are some limitations to what we can do with it. Let's just put in a simple moving average here. Oh, hit the wrong one. You got to be in the right one. There we go. Study. Simple moving average right there. I'm going to scoot on down here and I'm going to type in something like a 20. Now, I want to know what stocks in the NASDAQ 100, perfect, no problem, just crossed above that level. Now, of course, this tells us when they just crossed above and it's specific, right? It's not, there's a greater than, there's a less than, there's a crosses above, crosses below. It's limited to what we can do here, but it helps us kind of understand where we're at. So if I come over here and then I just say crosses above, oh, excuse me. I'm going to flip this around on us. Sorry, real quick. Closing price crosses above the simple moving average. So let's do this. Here's the simple moving average right here. And so what I'm going to do is then I'm going to come in here, click on that, and we'll just say the 20 over here. Before I was saying the moving average crosses above something, and that could be used if I was doing like a crossover a moving average, crossing over another moving average. That's interesting too. But let's say I just wanted to see this in the last day. Do we have anything crossing above? Key point, cross above. We could easily select cross below, but cross above. I think many of you already know this, but if you don't, this is a good way to get just breakouts, moving average breakouts starting. And with that, ThinkScript editor over here to the right, you can see crosses above the simple moving average of a 20. That's all you got to do. You can change it. This is the code. So this is what I was going to say. A good quick way to learn that coding, ThinkScript code specifically, is right here. It's very, machine language type, but it's very, very straight. There are other ways to write this out, but it's just so simple. I like it. It's so straightforward. Close, crosses above, just name it, simple moving average, uh, parentheses, quotes, length. You've got 20 here, and obviously I could change that to a 30, whatever I wanted. SMA. That's it. And if I click OK and scan it, these are companies that just crossed above their 20 today. I bring it up because we're seeing a little bit of a divergence from AI. A lot of the companies are, that were chip related, AI, memory related, those are down, but these companies are up. Not all of them AI. I mean, I'm looking at Pepsi right here, but it's fascinating to look at. Let's just pull it up right now. So I'm going to pull up a simple. I've got plenty right there. It's just already saved. Let's pull it up right here. Okay, so here we go. So here's our 20. What did we have? We had Pepsi. So just closing above today. Boom. Interesting. Why did I choose the 20? Well, the 20 can highlight a lot of trends that are kind of quick moving trends. The 30, the 50 will hit a number as well. But notice even the 20 touch here, it can vary. There's no doubt about it. It can vary. And here we go. Can we break up above here? That's a question. We're coming right here. The one thing I would say is that the trend line coming down, take a look at it. It's almost acting like a trend line. Have we broken above the 20 period moving average yet? Not really, not till today. Not since really late April, first part of May. So sometimes, these will mirror like a trend line, and that can give us a change. Now down here too, once, twice, a double bottom potential. What are some things that traders would look for? We still keep learning with what we've got, folks, but we're looking for some strength. And it would be something like right here, a possible bounce. Yeah, possible bounce to the upside, for example. Now, is everything in the market 100%? No. But what these indicators can do is help find those areas where we are seeing, like the AG, some interesting signs of volume, some buying activity potentially as prices are breaking higher, for example. That's what we're looking for. Prices are going up on a lot of volume. Traders are looking at, many of them are looking at it as a buy indication, right? So nothing's 100%. So it's really just layering in different concepts and ideas. Now, I might move this out a little bit longer term. Now, I could easily flip this because I've got it now. We can come right back to our scan tab and just pull up our box right there if I wanted to change it. Now, could I add another one in here? Yes, I could. But the one thing that I'm trying to get at, if I wanted to do, I'm just going to make it really basic and simple here. Crosses above the 100 today as well. Now, let's just do this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put in simple. There it is. Simple moving average, click. I'm going to type in the 100. It's quite a difference. The 200 and the 100 all in the same day today. Let's click OK. Let's run it. Zero matches. Now, what's interesting is we're running a scan in the NASDAQ 100. Zero matches. What was the main thing we looked at, though? We had the 20 and the 100, and they both have to be crossing above a particular level right now. Prices, and I'll just draw a price over here. This is the moving average, and today, both of them had to get breaking above that level. If we had, let's say, for example, the 200, the 20, and the 100, they both have to be there right there in order to come up on this scan. So you could scan a lot and really have some issues and not really find it. But if you look here, what you could find is an indication for the possibility of a percentage zone. Let's just say, for example, 1%. And what does that mean? Well, we had over here on this area, we had crosses above, cross above, below. Oh boy, I'm typing too fast. Cross above, below, greater than, less than, a value that's true. You know, the one thing, I mean, we really don't have in there is a percentage, which is really helpful. It can be to spotting some of these bigger ranges. So keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. Yeah, and so that indicator is still some let's see, I think Chris said just use part of another tracer. Yes, it was actually, we talked about it last week. It's quite a popular one that had a lot of sort of um, people tracking it, the AGAIG, and I just want to make sure you guys got it. That was the indicator, but we flipped it to a scan, and that's what I shared on that ThinkScript playlist. It's just the one from last week. You guys could take a look at that if you're interested. In fact, I'll just pull it up real quick. I'll make sure I've got the right one. It's right over here. Yeah. So it was fairly, it's a fairly newly released one. Within, I think it was May it came out. Just wanted to make sure you guys had that. And so I think one of the the most, if I'm not mistaken, one of the most popular ThinkScript indicators that are out there. So we shared that, showed you how it worked. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's do this. So I'm going to jump in over here and highlight a couple of details. Now there's Pepsi and a few others. That's the 20-day moving average. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over here and I am going to do the following. I'm going to say, for example, if we had something like an MU, which is down quite a bit today. This is micro. These were some of the AI areas that we're selling off. Now, over here, in this particular range, if I were to look at a number of different points, it could have been here, it could have been here. Sometimes you get the pullback and prices then coming back up. Pullback prices coming back up, and some breakouts as well. One of the things I was focusing in on is, can we see a number of different moving averages hitting? This is what it would kind of look like on the chart, breaking above a particular level. So this is the one I put together. It's just kind of a locator is what I've titled it. I'll pull it up right now. It's not a scan though. I did it in another way that we can kind of look at it a little bit differently. In fact, I'll do this. I'm going to take this one off for now. We can use it, yeah, on the S&P 500. Perfect. Okay. So we can use it in these columns, but before I do that, sometimes we can use these columns over here as well. Like say, for example, we want to go to the Market Watch tab, throw it in as a tab here. So which companies are moving over a set of different ranges? For example, this is an MA, I just call it MA locator. It's just using a couple concepts here. This is it. So it's just a moving average locator. We're building on a key point here, folks, if you haven't seen it before. Take a look at this. So there is a couple things I'm lining out. I'm saying 1%, this can be changed. So that's a 1% indication around an MA. And by the way, it's any of the MAs we have. Now, over the past couple of weeks, and particularly in the volume scans that we've looked at over the past couple of weeks, and ATR scans with the Super Trend scan as well by Mobius, we had a look back period in place here too. Now, the look back is a 3-day. In other words, what we're saying here is whatever moving averages I've selected, and these are just some defaults. You can change these too if you feel like it. But we're saying this, we're saying there's a 50 and a 100 and a 200. Now, the way that this is set up, and I'm going to talk about absolute value here in just a second, but the 50 period moving average price action over the last 3 days or bars, you can use, I would say days in this case, we're looking at a daily chart. It's day up here. Of course, that would be bars if it's anything else, or weeks, but just saying bars, you could say it for everything. In this case, it is 3 days. Over the last 3 days, we were 1% near the 50 price was within a 1% plus or minus range between here, here, and here. Okay? 1% range over here. So we're seeing a confluence of moving averages. We have to look at it as a percentage, though. So say, for example, price is coming down. We start to come back up here. We have some moving averages. I don't have that many colors, but just to kind of highlight a few. If it broke down below this level or it's trending high, and that's just another determination we can look at if it's coming up. Well, flip some colors here. Maybe it was there was a 20, a 50, a 100, whatever it is we're looking for. But a lot of times these have been noted for breaking above a range. And so we're seeing a confluence around that area is the main point. I've used these in the past because this is kind of more like a long term. This is more like an intermediate term, and this is more like a short term. So we could have a confluence of trends occurring here. Higher highs and higher lows, not just short term, but intermediate. It's above the 100 or near it, and above the 200 or near it. In other words, it's touching it. Now, I found this also to be helpful too. It doesn't say it was crossing over. It doesn't say it was crossing below. It just says it's near it. That is also helpful to note because then you can look at some companies that are like this. They've come down, they're hitting a level. It might be a confluence of these happening right over there. Okay, that is resistance, resistance, and resistance again. If we're seeing all of these come up here, for whatever reason, it's hitting that level, well, that can just bolster resistance, perhaps. I mean, some traders would look at it that way, and it could come down. Also, it doesn't have to be that way. If we begin to break above that level, what do we have? Anybody in the chat? What do we have at that point? What if it breaks above? Then it's breaking above a particular channel. Is it still helpful to kind of know about it? Yeah, and that's the key thing with ThinkScript. You have to go in with your own kind of trading plan, of course, but it does help to help identify where areas can be, okay, where changes can be occurring, volume changes, price and trend changes, patterns. That's why it's really important to look at the moving average, and that's where that percentage can be helpful. It just shows you that it's there. All right, let's hit this. Absolute value right there. This is what we're talking about. To get that percentage, this is going to be the formula to use. Okay. Absolute value is actually, part of ThinkScript. What we're talking about here, closing price minus the 50. We're getting that range and we're dividing it by the 50, multiplying it by 100, and we're doing that so we can get everything on a percentage basis. This all leads back. So this is just kind of the look back. I put down look back process. And then lastly, we've got our label. Now, because this is going to be a column we're going to be looking at, we've talked previously about how to create a scan, what some of the language is for a scan. Now, a lot of times though, when you're looking to use a column script, which is different, right? There's an indicator script. I mean, on the charts, there's a column and then there's a scan. But when we're looking over here at the indicator, excuse me, on the column, a lot of times you can use the plot to do that to help you. There's a plot, and then there's also the add label. The add label is interesting because it's adding these in. I'll show you what this looks like now when we put it on. Now, think scripts, folks, as I mentioned, okay, and earlier, think scripts aren't guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. It is based upon the data that's flowing into the platform. I think we have good data, but it's just mathematical at that point. As long as the data is coming in, it's just we're just trying to create a mathematical equation. But we wanted to, I mean, mathematical effect on that data on these scripts. But yeah, they're not guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. And let me just pull it up right now and I'll show it to you. So here it is, MA Locator. So again, we're just trying to be creative with some of the tools we've got and we've been utilizing a lot of the abilities within the platform to find this just with ThinkScript. Now, notice what I got over here. I've got these loading up. It's on the 500. We can put in whatever we want. So let's go over here. I'm going to make it a little bit quicker, okay? Because we're going to be sitting here for a while. And there's a couple things I wanted to show you. So I can either choose, let me do the S&P 100. It's kind of slow. And this is what I wanted to highlight. And this is where the confluence comes in. I think it's useful because it does show you, hey, the 50. So we know right there, Apple's within 1% because it was designated as such, 1% of that moving average. 100 there. That is for AIG Group financials. Right here, Broadcom. What's going on there? Notice I put a comma in here. There's your confluence right there. 200 and the 100 day, both within a percent. I want to take a look at that one right now, actually. And again, a cool way to do this, maybe I can let this load. It'll probably forget it. But if I come over here, let me kill this guy real quick. I'm going to pull this over and I'm going to do this. So let's just type it in here because right, it's a column script. We had to add labels in here um, to do it. Let's see. So locator, I'm going to plug it in here. Oh, that's not it. Right there. Okay. We'll pull it up and we'll put it right after last just to make it easy to see right there. Okay. So we got to wait for it to load up, but we did see a couple of them that had come up already. Just to try this one first, Apple. Apple is having a nice run today. So the other cool thing you can do is it's always great to visualize all this. Let's just knock out the RSI for now and we'll set this up. And I should have most of these in here because I do try. Yeah, 50, they are all here. Great. I've just saved them. So show, are they all different colors though? Yes, they are. Okay, in this case they were. And I'm gonna do, oh, I gotta show this one. And we'll go over here. I got the longer term style too. Cool. So there is your 50, there's your 100, and there's your 200. Now, if nothing else, it showed us that we have a 50 cross right there. It was within, remember what it was? Within 1% over the last 3 days. Now, if that's too many, bag it. Just go with the last 2 days or one day if you want, or extend it out further. But if you're getting a confluence, it can be interesting. Remember, this is either a 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days that we were within 1%. And I can tell you when that was. That's not today. We're up well above that. It would not be flagged if we were looking at a 1 day. It is a 2 day right there. It's not today. It's within the last 2 days. We could even go back one more if we wanted to, but Apple would come up as a 50. Now, I really wanted to take a look at some of these that were showing the confluence. AES is as well, but what about AVGO? AVGO, interesting. Broadcom. What's going on with Broadcom? Okay, this is what I was highlighting here. Now, within this class, we take the ThinkScript and it helps us to find areas of interest that some traders may be focusing in on. Volume, trend, price action patterns, whatever the case might be. In fact, I would say all three combined, right? It doesn't hurt to do a little bit more there, right? And then you go from there. Okay. Let's see. Rocky, a little different from market forecast. Market forecast is using like stochastics, right? So it's looking at prices over range, but there are some comparisons with the length. So you got me on that. That's true. Absolutely true there. The difference, I guess, with this one is that maybe a key word here, uh, proximity, um, in terms of percentages. Now, market forecast does get that off the bottom too. So yeah, there's a little bit of a look back. Difference with the stochastic is it takes a look at, let's say, whatever time frame you've got, and it says, are you in over this range? Are you in the bottom, if the stochastic read is, whatever the stochastic line you're looking at, are you in the bottom 10% of that time frame, 20%, etc. Um, so it's a little different in terms of time, but there are some similarities here. This is really designed though to help you find the patterns too. So anyways, what might be out there. And this is the one I was just going to say. You'd have to say this is maybe at an interesting phase here. It's come down. Look at this right there. What do you guys want? What do you guys want to see there? Depends. Are you bullish or bearish? It could help confirm it one way or the other. First thing I would say, just looking at it right over here, take a look. Zip. There is some support. Didn't mean to dip that line a little bit lower, but there is some support. Do you see? Right at that point. Support, 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 support. Will it hold? Well, it's the 200-day is right there. Cool way to kind of spot it. The other thing too is I would say with moving averages is like the 200-day moving average has been, I read a while ago that the 200-day is the biggest moving average or the most popular moving average followed by like institutions and things like that. Maybe that changes over time, but a lot of times they'll say it's bullish or bearish. That's kind of unique with moving averages. So we're right on that area here. What's fascinating here is looking at this longer term trend. What are the tendencies that we're seeing here? Look at this. You come up big, you consolidate. There's your 200-day. We rallied. We ran up big, we came down. There's your 200-day. Do we break back up above it? That's what you could be looking at. In fact, what I'm going to do is put another, notifier here within ThinkScript, excuse me, within the Thinkorswim platform. I'm just going to say, let me know if we're getting above this level. As a matter of fact, look at this. I'm going to say that's interesting, interesting. But what about this prior high right there? It's up a little bit higher. Notify me via text message if we get above that level. A little bit more down the line, so to speak. Maybe a level of higher expectation by some traders because we're getting what some traders would term as a more of a confirmation. Nothing's ever 100%, but maybe a close above, and then breaking at least the smaller term high. So you could just say breaking higher, for example, as a question mark. Now down here under notify, come down here to notify at the bottom and make sure you're sending that to your mobile device. Again, to set that up, go to setup up top, application settings, notifications. You can email yourself or text yourself if that was of interest. And again, take the time to understand what's going on with the company or whatever you do, to match the time frame you are looking at. All right. Now, a quick note on this, because I did bring it up, and I just wanted to highlight that the alerts are not guaranteed to be delivered or delivered at any specific speed or time frame and should not be used as a replacement for actively being aware of your positions. Now, have I had any issues with it? No, my alerts have gone off, the ones I set up and track, but things can happen in a fast-moving market. We just don't guarantee it. Okay, but just wanted to highlight that. All right, so cool tools to use on top of everything else to notify you, hey, if a particular change occurs. And by the way, uh, just conversely, some traders might say, well, does it break this key support? I want to know either way. Set an alert up below that level. Right click. Where are you? There you are. At, or in this case, below. You could just say something like lower question mark or whatever message you want to have send via your message. Okay, how many of these have loaded up? Boy, I tell you what, paper money has been slow today for me. Demo accounts, but look at this. The nice thing about this MA locator, just pop up top here. There are all your hundreds. There are some of your confluences right there. And look at this. The one, the two, the three times the lady right there. Okay. Taking you all the way back to the 70s or 80s songs. Dexcom? Really? Dexcom. DXCM. Oh, I knew it had bounced. Okay. So there's the confluence that could present support. We don't know, but we're looking at it and we're saying that's a bounce. And are we getting a hold? Maybe we are today. How did we spot it? The MA Finder helped right there. Kind of an interesting way to do it, folks. That's what we talked about today. Really just building a proximity sort of indicator. I look to do something. Would you guys be interested in something with a confluence of candles, like a number of candlesticks also showing up around a range? Like you might even have some of those here. Some good, some bad though. That's like a bearish engulfing that engulfed the entire prior week. But I'm just saying, does that sound of interest to you? Confluence can be interesting, but hopefully you guys found this informative, useful. Um, so what else do we have? That was our discussion today. Alrighty, good. So use that, you guys, to help find maybe confluence around those ranges, around those areas, and we can go from there, going forward. But yeah, if you find this information helpful, using ThinkScript can be an effective way to help spot some of those interesting areas that you might already be trying to look for, right? And let's do this. Did I share it yet? I don't know if I did. I got into it quite a bit. Andrew says, please, there we go. Please share. I think I might have seen another one. Absolutely. Let's share this before we're done. All right. By the way, for those of you that are just getting this on the recorded session, be sure to find this under the description section that we have listed down below under more. And you can pull it up that way. But here, I'll just put it in right here. So there it is right there. Do you guys see it? All right, folks, be sure to subscribe, like our presentation if you got to find it useful. And thank you, Will, and others. Absolutely, you guys have a wonderful 250th anniversary. Stay safe is right. I don't know about you guys, but they've banned fireworks here in my neck of the woods pretty extensively from the 2nd to the 5th, starting today. I think we had like 8 to 10 forest fires going on at the same time, different mountainous locations in Utah. Wasn't good for biking. Got a lot of the smoke in the lungs there. That was nuts. But anyhow, you guys have a great Independence Day. And hey, look forward to future discussions with you. Just super last note, take that script. If you don't know how to do this, go to Setup, Open Shared Items. This is where you want to put it in. Paste it right in there. Okay, Control V on my end. Preview, type the name of that script up. I just made it as straightforward as I could. MA Locator is what I put in. Import it. And then when you come in over here, that's where you can customize and simply just find whatever it is you put in. But this is one we built today, but we did start off with ThinkScript. Remember, we started off with ThinkScript and we talked about some of the code. We talked about absolute value as well. Look back periods, proximity ranges, percentage ranges along those lines. But hopefully you found this informative. So take care, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. Great 4th of July. See y'all. Thank you, Kevin, so much.